Welcome back everyone. For today's video, we are going to be taking a look at the early title Tuesday played today, May 13th of the great year 2025. Now, coming into this title Tuesday, I had amassed a whopping rating of 3,400. Now, over the course of the last week, I farmed a couple of people, Rustamov, Tumlo Termler, and Shadow King to get my rating up to this peak. And going into title Tuesday, if I get off to a very good start, I could break the all-time record, which I set some months ago, of 3405. So we are going to pick up this game in the 5th round of the event. I am off to a score of 4 out of 4, and as you can tell, my rating is 3404. Now, due to the astronomical rating that I have, even though I'm playing against a very strong player like Matthias Bluebaum with an impressive rating of 3,078, if I win this game, I only gain 2 points per game. That being said, of course, if I win, I will set a new record and history will be created today. So without further ado, let's jump right into the game. In this game, I'm playing with the black pieces. So we get the move d4. Here I play the move knight to f6. Actually, sorry guys, I think this is the 6th round if I'm not mistaken. I said 5th round, but this is the 6th round. So we get d4, knight f6. We have the move c4, and here I play the move knight c6. Bluebaum plays knight to f3, and now I play the move e6. Now, after Bluebaum played d4 on move 1, or maybe it was after I played knight f6, I was thinking, for a record-setting game, what opening do I want to play? Now, because I wasn't sure what to play, I decided to do something where I thought he wouldn't be as prepared, and I played the classic 2 knights tango by bringing out these knights. Now we get the move knight to f3, e6. We have knight c3, and here I play this move bishop to b4. After bishop b4, we get the move e3, and now I play this move bishop takes c3. Now this move is objectively not the best move in the position, but the reason that I play this is that I'm trying to create imbalance. I don't really care if I lose this game, but I don't want a situation where it's a very dry game, which is trending towards a draw. So I take the knight. Bluebaum now has the double pawns on top of each other, but white has these bishops. So I play d6, bishop d3, I play the move e5, Bluebaum goes e4, and now I play the move h6, stopping bishop to g5. We get the move h3, stopping me from playing bishop g4. It's worth pointing out here that if black could get bishop g4, potentially this pawn on d4 would be undermined. Now, bishop g4 actually is the best move according to the computer, but the reason I didn't play this move is I thought white would go bishop e3, followed by h3 and g4, and I simply thought I would be in bad shape. So I go h6, we get h3, stopping bishop g4, and now I play the move queen e7. Now I could try to castle here, but I was actually very afraid that if I were to castle, Bluebaum might play a move like g4, and very quickly white is attacking on the king side, and it's a very tough position to play. So I go queen e7, we get castles. Here I play b6. Here I could consider g5 maybe, but I'm trying to stay solid with b6. Now we get the move c5, and here I decide to castle my king. Now, the reason I castle here is that I don't really want to take this pawn on c5, because after pawn takes c5 here, now the diagonals are opening up for the white bishops. Specifically, say I castle, takes bishop a3, with ideas like bishop b5 potentially, it feels like the bishops are active. Whereas if you go back to the very start here, you'll notice that the one drawback in this position for white is that the dark square bishop is not active. So after c5, I castle, Bluebaum trades, goes bishop to a3, and now I play the move rook to d8, shuffling the rook for a couple of reasons. First of all, by moving the rook, I overprotect this pawn on d6, but additionally, if I were to play a move like queen c7, after pawn takes pawn, pawn takes pawn, it's spaghetti-o time, I lose the rook on f8, and with it, I resign the game. So I go rook d8, Bluebaum plays bishop b5, and here I go queen c7, and now we get the move bishop takes knight. Now it's very clear to me that Bluebaum was feeling some pressure in this situation. He felt this need to really simplify things right away, and in the game of chess, one of the hardest things to do sometimes is to avoid breaking up the tension in this position. Now the reason that I think Bluebaum went for this is that he felt that my moves were a little bit dubious. I've made many concessions early on. First of all, I've traded the bishop for the knight, so white gets the 2 Bs. Additionally, when we look at this position right here, you'll look at this and you'll think that after rook to d8 and queen c7, I'm lacking in development. I haven't brought the bishop into the game yet. You feel like there's some lack of coordination and you want to go for it right away. Now the computer here says that after we move rook to e1, for example, knight to a5 and bishop to f1, white is apparently better here. Now the reason white is better is that even though I'm getting this nice temporary bastion square for the knight on c4 here, after bishop c1, white retains this big white center with these pawns on e4 and d4, and white keeps the 2 bishops alive in the long run. So instead, Bluebaum trades. I take back, we get pawn takes pawn, and now I go knight takes e4. Now I can't take the pawn on e5 here because after queen takes d8, I've sacked the rook, but not in the good way, as I simply lose the game. So I go knight takes e4, Bluebaum takes, and now I play the move bishop to b7. Now, as you'll notice from the evaluation bar, black is a little bit better here, and the main reason for that is that my bishop on b7 is on a monster diagonal. I have the AA battery here with the bishop and the queen, and the pawn on d6 or the pawn on c3 are going to be captured, and the bishop on a3 is simply on a diagonal where it doesn't do a whole lot. So we get the move queen to d3. Now I play knight takes d6, and Bluebaum goes rook d1, and here I play the move knight c4. Now you might be wondering, like, what are my ideas here? Now during the game, as I mentioned, when I play knight takes d6, the reason is I kind of have to. If I take the pawn on c3 here, for example, after rook c1, white pins the tail on the donkey, I have to go rook c8, and now after a move like rook to e1 here with this passed pawn on d6, the pin on the c file, and the open file for the rook on e1, white is just winning. So I take the pawn. Bluebaum goes rook d1, and now I play the move knight c4. Now when I did play knight takes d6, I saw this line ahead of time, and as I mentioned during my live stream on my Kick channel, I was inspired to go for this idea by the famous American Grandmaster and former World Championship contender Fabiano Caruana. Now the reason I mentioned that is, in general, there's this principle which is white sacks the queen and gets 2 rooks in return for the queen. More often than not, I would say even amongst top players, the top players tend to believe that 2 rooks are more powerful than a queen, because obviously 5 plus 5 equals 10, and a queen is worth 9. But Fabiano is one of the very few top grandmasters who will always try to argue that a queen is better than 2 rooks, and so I really was channeling my inner Fabiano. Now I did not realize this position was actually winning initially when I played knight c4 here, but right as soon as Bluebaum thought before playing bishop c1, it suddenly occurred to me that I might be winning on the spot and about to set a new record on chess.com, because the bishop has to go or it's going to be captured for free. You can't play a move like knight d4 because then there's checkmate on g2 with the AA battery, and when the bishop moves to c1, now I have the great move knight to e5, undermining the horse on f3 and setting up a checkmate on the diagonal. Now the reason this effectively ends the game here is that if Bluebaum takes knight, of course it's checkmate. If white goes rook to e1, for example, after takes, the queen and the bishop are checkmating. You can still go king to f1 here, but simply an idea like bishop to a6, king g1, queen takes h3, followed by bishop b7 back will lead to some very unpleasant threats towards this white king on g1. Now Bluebaum here plays move knight h4. The one other option you have is to go knight to e1, but after bishop to a6, this rook on f1 is trapped. There are no squares available, there's no oxygen, and the tower is going to die. So we get the move knight to h4. Now I play the move g5, attacking the horse once again, which guards his pawn on g2, and Bluebaum decides to play the move f3. Now after f3, I take the knight, and at this point in the game, as I mentioned during my live stream, I know that I am technically winning. I have a queen and a knight in return for 2 rooks, but again, it is a game of blitz. You don't want to panic and choke the game away. So we get bishop to e3. Now this was a move that I thought was very, very strong from Bluebaum. And actually, as I look at the computer, laughs at this move, saying that I can simply take the pawn. But it's very tricky here because you think the game is over, but as I realized, if white can get the bishop to d4, all of a sudden you have a very nice wooden shield on d4, hitting everything. And after knight g6 and a move like rook to e1, there are some threats towards this black king on h7 potentially, and maybe white can create a miracle. So I spent quite a bit of time before playing queen f6. Queen takes c3, by the way, would be winning, because after bishop d4 and queen c7, you attack this rook on d8, and now you will win the game. Instead, I go queen to f6. Now we get rook to d4. I play queen e6, and here we get the move rook h4. Now this is where we should do the classic. It is basketball season, so I almost want to do the classic Reggie Miller where I go, you know, because much like the Knicks in past years, it feels like I'm about to choke this game away. Now, when I play queen e6, I thought this was a logical move because I could go knight takes f3, attacking the bishop and winning the game. But here it would actually throw everything away, because after rook takes knight, sacking the rook, I take the rook, and rook h6 check, hitting the queen and the king. After takes in this position, now I have to move the bishop away, and after bishop e3, bishop takes a2, and king f2, this game very likely is going to be a draw. Also, since I see some people mentioning this, let's go Knicks. Jalen Brunson, MVP. Knicks are winning the championship this year. So after rook takes h4, in this position, I played the move f6, and now we get rook takes h6 being played. I go king g7, and here Bluebaum plays the move bishop to c1. After bishop to c1, I play the move knight to d3, and at this point, I now know everything is clear. I'm gonna win the game because white is struggling to guard both this bishop and this rook on h6. Now Bluebaum moves the rook away, logical. Say you were to go bishop d2, by the way, there's queen e2, and now you can't save the bishop and the rook at the same time. And after we get the move rook to h4, now I play knight takes c1. Now you might be thinking, well, white can just capture. It's still only a queen and a bishop in return for the 2 towers, but after rook takes c1 here, there's queen queen to e3, checking the king, and when the king moves, you take the rook and you win the game. So Bluebaum goes rook to g4, I play king to f7, we get king h2, and now I play the move knight e2, we get rook e1, I play queen d6, king h1, and now I play the move f5. Bluebaum goes rook g5, I play queen d2, attacking both of the towers and guarding the knight. We get rook f5, king g6, and now Bluebaum plays rook e2. I take rook f4, and here I go queen e1, queen takes c3, and at this point the game is over. But Bluebaum is known for being one of the GMs over 2600 who for whatever reason does not resign in lost positions. He just plays out all the way, so I knew this would still go for a few more moves. We get rook g4, king f7, h4, I go here, h5, now I check the king, he blocks, I take here, and now I go bishop takes a2. We get rook g5, takes, king g6, king f4, and now I play the move bishop f7, and with my 2 pawns on the queen side here, I'm simply pushing my p, and I will win the game. We get king e5, a5, king d6 here, and Bluebaum resigns before I can execute the move a4 as I'm pushing my p, and this pawn is unstoppable. Let's say here, a2, get the queen, and checkmate will follow very soon. So after bishop f7, I beat Matthias Bluebaum. I moved to a score of 6 out of 6 in Title Tuesday, and now we're going to take a look at round number 7, where I'm playing against Muradli, if I have my facts correct. So I'm playing against Muradli in this game, and now I open with the move b4. Or b3, I should say, not b4. b4 is the orangutan. We get knight f6, bishop b2, g6, d4, bishop g7, knight f3, and now we get the move d5. I go e3, castle c4, and here we have the move c5. Take on c5, queen a5, knight d2, takes, and now I played the move a3. Now perhaps it was stress or the pressure of being in the situation, but as soon as I played a3, I realized that it's not the move that I've played 999 other times, which is normally rook to c1. Now rook c1 is the move that I play on autopilot, and after queen a5, then I go a3 with the idea of b4, but I simply make a slip, and this shows the pressure of setting a new record and being in the moment with the chance to win Title Tuesday. So I go for the move a3. We got the move pawn takes pawn. I go b4, queen h5, and now I take the pawn on c4. Now what you'll notice here is that I'm a little bit ahead in development. Black has 1, 2, 3 juicers that are not developed yet. I have the bishops on these great diagonals as well. So it's a situation where black has to be very careful. So we get a5. I castle, we get takes, and here I thought already I must be close to winning because I have the double A battery on the diagonal, bishop on the other diagonal, and I also have this open A file for my queen to infiltrate as well. We get knight a6, and now I play the move bishop c3 after a 40-second think. Now one of the things in chess that's very tough is, especially if you're a stronger player, there's what we call the je ne sais quoi, where you sort of can sense there's something in position. You feel like everything's in your advantage. In my case here, you'll see I've got the double A battery, I've got the other open diagonal, I have the file. It feels like there's got to be something, whether it's like rook c1, knight e5, it just feels like there's something in the position. Now in a classical game, you could obviously spend 10-15 minutes, look at all the variations, but in blitz, when you sense that but you can't find the line, it's very, very difficult, and managing the time is also a big thing. So if you spend too long on a single move, you could end up in time pressure down the road. So I spent 40 seconds and ultimately played the move bishop c3. This is not the move that I wanted to play here because I had a feeling that like something like rook c1, knight b4, and bishop f7 maybe would work, but after king f7, apparently there's nothing here. Knight covers a2, and after the knight goes back, black will now win the game, and of course I will lose my rating points. So I played bishop c3. We get knight c7. I go knight to e4 here. This, by the way, is something that I realized when Muradli was thinking here on his 15 seconds. I suddenly realized that I could have played knight to e4, trying to expose the knight and rip open this long diagonal. So after knight c7, of course, I blitz out this move. We get bishop to g4 being played, and now I play the move knight g3. Now, as a sign of how much pressure and stress I was feeling, as soon as I played knight g3, I didn't start celebrating, but I thought the queen is trapped. I'm winning the game. The queen has no squares on this 4th rank. It's over. The queen's trapped. He's going to have to sack the queen for the 2 pieces, and then I'm just going to win the game. But of course, in my over emotional state, I missed that there's queen to h6, and now the queen stays on the board. Now of course I'm better here, but the emotional swing from thinking the game is over, you're about to set a new rating record, to suddenly having to play on where there's no big advantage is very difficult. So I play the move knight to e5. We get bishop to e6, and now I trade the bishops and I go for the move rook d1. Now this move is a very important move because if black were able to get the knight to d5, suddenly the knight is hitting the bishop, hitting the pawn, and there are all kinds of threats down the road. Now in this specific example, there's apparently knight g4 and white is better, but in general, when I go rook d1, I'm trying to dominate this pony so that there are no squares available for the knight to jump to the center, which then means my knight on e5 here is much better as it's very, very stable. So we get queen to h4. Now I go queen to a7, attacking the pawns on the 7th rank and creating the classic kebab, as XQC calls it. We get the move knight to g4, and this is simply a big mistake. Now at this point, I think Muradli was feeling a lot of the pressure here. The pawns are very weak, you're not sure what to do, and when he goes knight g4, I think he simply missed that the knight can move backwards to f3, where it attacks the queen, but much more importantly, while attacking the queen, it also guards against the threats on the pawn. If you play queen h2, after knight takes h2, we get a Botez gambit, and you resign the game. So we have queen h6. I trade the bishops, take the pawn, and now we get to move queen b2, and here I go rook f1, guarding the pawn. Muradli goes knight f6. I play the move queen takes pawn, and here we get knight d5, queen h4, and rook b8. So dust is somewhat settled here. I'm up 2 pawns temporarily, but unfortunately I'm going to lose this pawn on b4, and because of that, that likely means there are going to be some technical problems in the position. For example, after h3 takes and rook b4, yes, I have an extra pawn, but as you'll notice, all of the pawns are on the same side of the board here, meaning that black has very good drawing chances. So I play the move queen to e4. We get knight c3, I go queen d3, and now we have the move queen takes b4, and here I play the move h3. Now this is just a very quiet move for me here. I play h3 because it creates a classic Lufthansa for the king. As you guys know, Lufthansa is a famous chess term where you create space for the king and avoid the ice skate or checkmate on the back rank. So we get the move h5. Now I play the move knight to e5, and here I'm trying to jump with the pony to attack all of D's pawns, the 3 connected, but also knights are very tricky because there are ideas like knight c6 forking the queen and the rook as well. Muradli goes h4, and he overlooks the move knight c6 as the knight forks the queen and the rook. We get the move queen b5, and now I take the knight on c3. Muradli goes rook b6, I go knight e7, we get king to f8, and here I play the move knight c8. Now apparently knight g6 is also winning here. When I played knight c8, first of all, my opponent ran out of time, but secondly, I'm still attacking this tower on b6, and when you move the tower away from being captured, after queen h8, it's simply a checkmate. The king has no squares available, the queen and the knight cover the 2 squares, and white creates the checkmate. So Muradli runs out of time here. He still could have played queen b2 if he had enough time, but after takes and knight e4, white has an extra knight and an extra pawn here. There's no doubt that I would have won this anyway. So with this win, this pushed me to a score of 7 out of 7 and a new all-time record of 34.08. Now in round 8, I would suffer a very tough loss against none other than the famous GOAT, Magnus Carlsen, and sadly, I would also lose in the final round of Title Tuesday against Parham Magsudolu, a game which if I had won, I would have won Title Tuesday. Ultimately, wasn't meant to be. I lose a whopping 20 points in Title Tuesday despite having a very, very good performance, and that's how the cookie crumbles. That being said, we set a new record, we create some history, so I hope you guys enjoyed these 2 great games in Title Tuesday, which helped me get a new record. Very unlikely that I'll break this record anytime soon, although if I go farming, maybe it remains to be seen. At any rate, hope you guys have enjoyed this video from the early Title Tuesday, today, May 13th of the great year 2025. If you are not already subscribed to the channel, make sure that you smash that subscribe button below, and we'll be back with more great content in the near future. See you guys soon. Have a good one. Bye.